On Thursday evening, Trump posted 4 words on Truth Social that he believed would buy peace. Talks are going very well. He had just extended his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by 10 days, until April 6th. He called it a pause on energy plant destruction. He said Iran asked him for the extension. He said Iran sent him 10 oil tankers as a gift. He said the talks were going very well. Less than 12 hours later, Israel launched strikes on 2 of Iran's nuclear facilities without telling Washington in advance. And within hours of those strikes, Iran fired ballistic missiles and drones at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. 10 American service members were wounded, 2 of them seriously. Several refueling aircraft were destroyed. An E-3 Sentry command and control plane was damaged. Trump had extended the deadline. Israel had ignored it the same night. Iran had hit the biggest American base in the region in response, and Trump was in Miami telling a Saudi investment conference that the war would end soon and the economy would take off like a rocket ship. That is where this war stands on day 28, and the question that connects every single one of those events tonight is the same question nobody in Washington has been willing to answer out loud. Who is actually running this war? Before we go further, subscribe to Frum Analysis right now and turn on notifications, because what we are about to walk through tonight is not what you will find in any headline. This is the architecture behind the headlines, the mechanism that connects Trump's Truth Social post on Thursday to 10 wounded Americans in Saudi Arabia on Friday, and what it means for where this goes before April 6th. Trump's pause was not a ceasefire. UGK was a 10-day window. He framed it as a gift he was giving Iran in exchange for good faith gestures. Iran sent tankers. Pakistan, Egypt and Turkey came forward as mediators. The White House delivered a 15-point action list to Tehran through Pakistan. The framework included Iran restricting its nuclear program and reopening the strait. Trump called it the beginning of a deal. Iran said publicly it was not negotiating. But sources with knowledge of the back channel told reporters that Iranian officials had privately signaled interest. The mediators were pressing Tehran to agree to a high-level meeting. The problem, one source said, was mistrust. Iran suspected the United States was tricking them again. They had been at the table in June 2025 when the bombs fell. They had been at the table in February 2026 when the bombs fell again, twice. America had bombed Iran while Iran was negotiating. That history does not disappear because Trump extends a deadline on Truth Social. And then Israel acted. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz had said Thursday that attacks on Iran would escalate and expand. He did not ask Washington for permission. He did not pause for the diplomatic window Trump had just announced. He said the attacks would escalate and that Iran would pay heavy and increasing prices. And on Friday morning, Israeli jets struck the Shahid Kondab heavy water complex in Iraq and the Ardakan yellowcake production plant in Yazd province. Both nuclear facilities, both struck while Trump was telling the world that talks were going very well. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi posted one sentence immediately. Israel claims it acted in coordination with the United States. The attack contradicts the deadline extension Trump announced for diplomacy. Iran will exact a heavy price for Israeli crimes. Iran's response arrived at Prince Sultan Air Base within hours. Here is what Prince Sultan Air Base is, and why this matters beyond the casualty count. Prince Sultan is the most important American air hub in the entire Gulf region. It hosts the aircraft that support operations across the theater, refueling planes, command and control aircraft, intelligence assets. The E-3 Sentry that was damaged on Friday is the aircraft that coordinates the entire air operation over Iran. It sees everything. It directs everything. Damaging it is not a symbolic strike. It is a direct hit on the nervous system of American air power in the region. Over 300 American service members have now been wounded since the war began on February 28th. 13 have been killed. And on the day Trump said talks were going very well, 10 more were wounded at the base that hosts the aircraft running the air campaign. Now consider what was happening simultaneously in the financial markets while Iran was hitting Prince Sultan. The S&P 500 closed out its worst week since this war began, its fifth consecutive losing week, down 8.7% from its all-time high in January. The Nasdaq sank 2.1%. Oil climbed back above $100 per barrel. With no clear end in sight, investors are now pricing in a prolonged disruption of Gulf energy infrastructure. Goldman Sachs has warned that sustained oil above $100 produces a level of global inflation that the Federal Reserve has no good tools to fight. And Trump said the economy would take off like a rocket ship once this ends. Here is the number that connects Prince Sultan to every American family filling their gas tank this weekend. Before this war began, Brent crude was around $70 per barrel. On Friday it was sitting above $107. Every $10 increase in oil adds roughly 25 cents to a gallon of gas. That is approximately $1 more per gallon than Americans were paying in February. Not because American oil production changed, because 20% of the world's oil passes through a 21-mile waterway that Iran controls and has effectively closed for 28 days. Daily transits through the Strait of Hormuz have fallen between 90 and 95% since the conflict began, according to shipping intelligence firm Kepler. Hundreds of tankers are trapped in the Persian Gulf. Marine insurance costs in the strait have reached levels that make commercial transit economically impossible for most operators. Iran has been charging tolls for ships seeking safe passage. A Gulf Arab bloc confirmed Thursday that Iran is now formally extracting payment from vessels wanting to cross. Trump called his own waterway the Strait of Trump. He said it would be open by April 6th. Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities without telling him. Iran hit Prince Sultan the same night, and the strait remains closed. Now here is the piece that the headlines are not connecting, and this is the detail that changes everything about where April 6th actually leads. Iran sent back its response to America's 15-point proposal through the mediators on Thursday night. It was not a rejection, and it was not an acceptance. Iran sent its own 5 conditions. The full details have not been publicly released, but what has been confirmed through multiple sources is the broad shape of what Tehran put on the table. An end to all American and Israeli strikes on Iran and on Iranian-backed groups in Lebanon and elsewhere. Recognition of Iran's sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Reparations for the damage caused by the strikes. A guarantee against future military action, and a lifting of sanctions. Iran is not asking for a ceasefire. Iran is asking for a peace treaty on its own terms, with reparations, with sovereignty over the world's most important oil passage, with guarantees. And the country whose ally just struck its nuclear facilities while talks were supposedly going very well is expected to deliver those guarantees while Israel says it will escalate and expand. There is a structural contradiction at the center of this war that Thursday and Friday exposed more clearly than any previous day. Trump wants a deal. Israel wants a military conclusion. Those are not the same objective. They may not even be compatible objectives. And every time Israel acts unilaterally, it hands Iran a reason to harden its position and an excuse to retaliate against American targets in the region. The mediators understand this. Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan announced Friday that he would meet with his Egyptian, Saudi and Pakistani counterparts in Pakistan over the weekend, specifically to address the war. These are the countries that have been pressing Tehran to agree to a meeting with Washington, and they watched Israel strike Iran's nuclear facilities on the same day Trump said talks were going very well. They are now trying to hold together a diplomatic process that one of Washington's closest partners nearly destroyed in a single night. Here is the final question that April 6th demands an answer to. If Israel strikes Iran's nuclear facilities again before that deadline, if Iran hits another American base in response, if the mediators cannot hold the process together long enough to produce even a meeting, what does Trump do on the evening of April 6th when his own deadline arrives and the strait is still closed and 10 more Americans might be wounded, and Israel has already demonstrated it does not pause for his diplomatic windows? He threatened to destroy Iran's energy plants. He called it the destruction of their power grid. Human rights experts have called that a war crime. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for similar decisions in other conflicts, and the country that would be making that decision watched its ally ignore its diplomatic pause and watched Iran wound 10 of its service members the same night. Trump said he was the opposite of desperate. He said he did not care. He said talks were going very well. Israel struck Iranian nuclear sites without telling him. Iran hit Prince Sultan. And April 6th is 9 days away. The strait is still closed. The tankers are still trapped. Oil is still above $100. The S&P is in its 5th losing week. 10 Americans were wounded last night at the most important air base in the Gulf. And the mediators are meeting in Pakistan this weekend, trying to save a process that Thursday and Friday almost destroyed. That is the architecture of day 28. Not a war going very well, not a deal taking shape. A war in which America's closest ally is making decisions that blow up America's diplomatic windows. A war in which Iran is retaliating against American targets in response to Israeli decisions America did not control. And a deadline 9 days away that nobody in Washington or Jerusalem or Tehran has a clear answer for. Subscribe to this channel right now. Turn on notifications, because between today and April 6th, this story will move faster than any news cycle can contain. When the mediators report back from Pakistan, when Iran gives a formal response to the 15 points, when Trump decides what April 6th actually means, the analysis will be here. Evidence first. What it means for you, always.